All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our webinar. I know we're still going to have a few more people coming in to join us, but as we want to get started to make sure that all of us that are here can go ahead and get started. So we want to thank you for the Magaya family being part of our new 10.2 new features, and we hope that you're very excited, as we're excited for all these new ideas that are being brought up. So let's go ahead and get now, just in case, if you were wondering who this handsome fellow is that's talking to you, it's actually Jose Barahona. I am your General Sales Manager at Magaya, and I'm going to be joined by Kristjan. He's our Product Manager. He's working directly with our development department and being able to get all these features and making sure that we are developing the features that are going to make you, our clients, more and more competitive. So what's important about 10.2 is not that we just started a brand new product in Logistical later on, but we're also going to look at commerce and e-commerce. As you know, Magaya has been created from the beginning at being able to help clients, small and medium-sized clients, compete with the larger ones, and we want to continue that trend. So we're starting up a new product for e-commerce. Everybody wants to be in on it. People don't know what it is. People want it. People are being asked about it. And in reality, we're answering that call by our clients asking us, what can we do about this? What's your thoughts? And we're delivering a great product. So we're very excited about it. And some of you are going to get the opportunity. In fact, all of you are going to get the opportunity to sign up later on today when we talk about Logistical. So the e-commerce market, that's something that we're also going to go into in the future. But I definitely want to let you know a lot of the items that are being done now are meant for that. We worked on the communication. We worked on the WMS. We worked on the actual accounting side of it. So, you know, we've made some changes to the way the WMS mobile works. Some of you may have that option available. Some of you do not. But in general, we're adding more features to the live track and being able to give clients the opportunity to actually brand your tracking with your logo, your company name. So we're very excited about those things. And again, it's feedback that each of you has brought to us and said, hey, this would be great. So we want to showcase that to you guys regarding that, okay? There's also the transaction tracking. We made changes. Now you can customize the way transactions are displayed. In other words, some of you may say, Jose, there's too much information showing in when a client does my tracking. Can I reduce what they see? So we're actually doing that within the transaction tracking. In the same way, we're displaying the way tracking numbers and VIN numbers are actually being shown. We're going to briefly talk today about page 1 and the ability to be able to see what's available in page 1. So not only are we going to look at the new features, page 1 is a better way to get answers. This is a way for us to give our clients the ability to reach us quicker. There's also a knowledge base, but you'll see how that page 1 is going to look like. And page 1 always changes. You know, we're always making changes. Marketing always adds some nice touches to it, but the biggest input that we have there is that you actually can make your own cases and do follow-up, and our support staff actually reach out to you within the page 1, all in the Magaya system. So there's no need to pick up the phone. There's no need for an extra anything that you need to do, and you also get everything via email. So we're very excited about page 1. We're also worked on the cargo insurance portal. Some of you insure with Magaya Insurance, and now we're actually giving you the ability for our customers to send shipping instructions to their clients, be able to download documents from the customer account. For example, the claim template. So those are the real big things that we want to showcase. You know, Kristjan's going to go in to the software itself and show some of these items. And as you can see here, we're going to talk about the new features. We're going to look at the better ways to get answers, page 1. We're going to look at the news and updates, a few more things. And specifically, I will talk to you about logistics, the exciting new product that we have in Magaya. If you haven't heard about it, if you haven't joined us for one of our logistical lunches, we definitely want to invite you to those. And a lot of you are here for the AS Direct and ACE migration. We do want to have the ability to give you some questions where we are at. There's a lot of questions that are being asked. There's a lot of support calls that are coming in. And we'll definitely close with a Q&A. So we want to go ahead and make sure that we want to, first of all, do some questions. We're going to ask you a few poll questions. That way, there's an opportunity for you to give us a little feedback. So we're going to go ahead and start with our poll number 1. I want to give you guys some time to go in there and answer those questions for us, okay? So bear with me 1 second while we go ahead and get those out to you. Beautiful. All right, I'm back. For a minute there, I was having a little bit of an issue trying to open up the questions so I can help you. So we do have a little bit of a timer. We have roughly over 4 minutes to be able to get to some of these questions. These questions for us are very important. We want to know what you're doing. You're currently processing purchase orders and sales orders for your own inventory. Yes or no? Are you managing purchase orders and sales orders for your clients? Would you be interested in a supply chain test environment for review, the smart warehousing that we're working with? And we're calling it smart warehouse because we're giving you a whole lot more features that would normally be found on these systems that we want you to compete with. So that's the important part. Some of you have cargo systems, some of you just have a WMS, and you want to say, hey, I want to take a look at how the purchase orders and the sales orders work. So we want to make sure that we know where you stand, and we want to see where that's at and the opportunity for us to be able to work from that route. Okay? So take a few more minutes and answer some of those questions for us. That way we can better assist you in being able to give you those test environments. Okay? We'll give you guys 1 more minute to go ahead and get started. So thank you. Perfect. And if you don't see the polling section, you can go ahead and look at the right-hand side of the panel where it says polling. It allows you to be able to take a look at the questions. So thank you for that. And thank you to those who have already completed. Appreciate that. We'll give a few minutes. There's some that are still in progress, so we want to give them a little bit of a chance to go ahead and get done. Right. Perfect. So let's go ahead and get going. There's a few that are still going, but we're going to go ahead and continue. I want to go ahead and give this time over to Chris. He wants to share with us some of those WMS improvements, or the warehouse management improvements that we have within the system. So Chris, come on in and introduce yourself, and welcome to our webinar.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Jose, for the introduction. And my name is Kristjan. I am the product manager with Magaya here. And as you said, we picked a few of those enhancements in version 10.2 to show you, because we obviously don't have quite enough time to show everything. So I'm going to be flipping my screen back and forth here a little bit between the actual application and this presentation. So it's not going to be just theoretical. You'll see how it works in our Magaya software. Okay, so first, the first thing I'm going to show, it sounds very exciting. It's a WIA compatibility for image capture, and on Jose's request, I will explain what it means and why it's good in English. So when we're talking about image capture in Magaya, it is the ability to add attachments on any record where there's an attachments tab, and it could be any use case like recording original documentation or take pictures of damaged cargo. I'm here currently on a warehouse receipt, and what WIA means is Windows Image Acquisition. In short, basically we added support for additional drivers. So if you ever try to capture an image from a scanner or a camera directly into Magaya and found that Magaya doesn't talk to that type of device, without going too technical, there's now a much higher chance that it will. And in the process, we also simplified the interface, so it's really, really straightforward now. And let's take a look. I have a little webcam, actually, just a USB plug and play webcam plug into my computer here, and on the right hand side you see the image acquisition related buttons, and I'll just click on capture device, and this list basically shows all the devices that you would see under your Windows operating system that the computer recognizes. So if the computer recognizes it, now Magaya should too. So I'm just going to say pick this one for images and click OK. And you see the acquire button became active, so I'll just take a photo here of my, oh, there we go, that's our webcam of my damaged goods. Oh, there's damaged goods, that's Jose. I didn't mean it that way. There you go. So there's an image, and I'll just capture it, and I'll transfer it to Magaya. And as you can see in the background, it already went into the attachments tab. So maybe I have another item here, a box of Kleenex, and maybe I had another item here, this nice microphone, and they're now all there. Okay, so that was the first demo of just something quick and easy to show. And then, well, basically, if you find some devices that don't connect well, give our support a call. They can help you out. It's just the takeaway from here is that now there's a much higher chance that you can use your scanners or cameras for directly adding pictures and scans into Magaya. Okay, so the next topic is about smart warehouse, so to speak, and it starts with a new sales order interface, and sales orders, how are they related to warehousing? And it's basically to manage your customer orders more easily. And let me be very clear here that this is not only for those of you who are already using sales orders in older versions. I think the functionality was a bit more limited. Sales order added value only if you were actually selling the merchandise, not necessarily if you were a third-party logistics provider or a warehouse operator. Why could you get by without sales orders? You just enter your customer order directly as a cargo release or an outgoing shipment. Well, the main limitation with that is that, let's say, if your customer ordered something for next week, and you entered the cargo release and you allocated your available inventory to it, you might get another order now for the same inventory for tomorrow. And since it's a rush order, maybe make more money fulfilling this one first. and you still have time to receive more inventory to fulfill the second order as well. But the system won't have those items available because they're allocated to the cargo release already. So now, since we have the sales orders feature, which we call the unallocated sales orders, I can show you the screen here, which displays these iPhones in a new status that's called reserved, which means I just said that to the system that I have an order for 35 iPhones. I know that I have enough inventory, but I will not tell the system yet which exact locations these phones should be pulled from. I will wait until I'm ready to fulfill that order, and then I will allocate this inventory by creating a specific cargo release to pull these items from locations. Okay, so let me do this. All right. Looks like I need to. Okay, so now if we look at the other screen here that explains what's happening in the background, this is what you are used to seeing in Magaya, where each item is allocated to specific quantities in specific locations. Okay, and as I click OK here and create my cargo release, I'm now ready to fulfill this order when I want and with exactly the same items that I would earlier with the cargo release. I just added one more layer of control and flexibility. Now, another new feature to make warehouse management easier is that if we look at this cargo release now and look at the records related to it, we see that the pick task was automatically created. This is another feature that we added, that you can configure your system to automatically create pick tasks when a cargo release was created, to automatically create load tasks when the pick task is completed, and also another little enhancement to automatically ask for a scanned quantity of an item. So let me quickly go and fulfill that pick task in my warehouse here.
Yeah, and the idea here, guys, is the fact that we want to be able to separate what is happening on the inside, where you guys are receiving orders as they're coming in, if they're coming in online or they're coming in automatically through some EDI, as well as what the warehouse person has to do. As a former warehouse manager, it was always difficult to get my warehouse men to fully understand and get on that next order that needed to go out. So we want to go ahead and do all these allocated and smart warehousing capabilities. So we want to show you, hey, this is what happens on the inside. Right now, Chris is going to show you what happens on the outside in your warehouse. Okay?
Yes. So to recap, I created the cargo release from a sales order, which was there waiting to be fulfilled, and the pick task that was automatically created is on my screen here. And that is a new feature. I would have had to do that as an extra step. And now this is going to be the next very, very important step, and I'm actually going to take a break here and go back to the presentation for a second, because I select this task. Pardon me here for the delay. There you go. So what I want you to focus on is the order, the sequence of the locations that the system is telling the handheld device to go pick these items in, okay? This is maybe the most major part of smart warehouse, and this is called sequencing, and that applies for picking on the outbound and for put away on the inbound. So I just created one simple slide here to illustrate this. So these location numbers in my very basic aisle here, where I'm going to take the iPhones and go and put them in the staging area, are the same ones from my database. So I have iPhones in this task to be picked from 101, 105, and 205. Now, we used to only be able to suggest that the user with the handheld goes and fulfills the task alphabetically, which would have meant 101, then go pick some phones from 105, and then from 201. Now, because I have set up my picking sequence and said 101 and 201 are my preferred picking locations, and 105 is a general storage where I only go where I'm short in any of the preferred locations, the order will be much different. So as you can see, it will tell me to go first to 101, then to 201, which is nearby there, just across the aisle, then finally to go to 105. So we've added a logic to define sequences so that your users can actually trust the order the handheld tells them to walk between the locations. Basically, we've introduced a way for you to take your floor plan, which is already smart, and translate it into Magaya. And how this works, I'll show us a little screenshot of that part as well. It's in your warehouse inspector, and I made a screenshot purely for Zoom reasons because I'll show you the warehouse inspector in a second, and you all know that screen. It's a little small to read. So you see, that's my location sequence. That's why it goes to 201 before 105. Okay, so if I look at my warehouse inspector, that's where I set up my picking and put away sequences. So that is a simple but huge enhancement. Now there is even more. Let's say these items now they left the warehouse quicker than they would have because of how we organize the picking. What happens to those preferred picking locations? They're now empty, presumably, and so you need to replenish them. How you probably manage it is that you run a report every day with the inventory levels in your preferred picking locations, and if they're running low, you tell someone to go and move from general storage or replenishment to the preferred picking location. Now we've automated that part for you, and I'm not going to show the full setup here. I'm just going to illustrate it by looking at what we call location definitions. So here I have a preferred picking location for these iPhones that we were just picking. And so I'm saying that for this particular location, I will fit maximum 50 iPhones in there, and once the quantity runs lower than 10, refill it in batches of 20. And the same I have done here for a location type called replenishment, where I say, okay, this one holds 100. Once it falls under 30, refill it by bringing in 70. So what it does is it runs a scheduler in the background and creates move tasks for all the handheld users, for them to just pick the task and fulfill it when they have an idle moment. So that flow from general storage to your favorite picking locations is going to be happening without you having to interfere once you've set it up. Okay, so that is what we mean so far with the smart warehouse features, and we are getting smarter there, but that is the current where we are in version 10.2. So just to recap, you can define which locations are your preferred picking locations now. The handheld device, when generating tasks, will direct the pickers into those locations first, and we have a replenishment schedule running in the background that creates tasks to replenish your preferred picking locations once the inventory starts running low in them. So that's all for 10.2 now, but stay tuned for future versions. Okay, so this is now I'm going to hand this back to Jose. Thank you.
Perfect, guys. You know, and it's interesting that we call it smart warehouse. When I was running the warehouse, I didn't have any of this. So I thought more of an analog type of warehousing situation that I have. So let's go ahead and take a look at the questions for poll number 2. We do want to know where each of you are at when it comes to the part numbers and whatnot, and what you're using. So we want to go ahead and give you the option of poll number 2. A few questions here. So how likely are you to use this new smart, quote unquote, warehousing features? So we want to know if this is something that you're looking at doing. The unallocated sales orders, allocated sales orders, automatic batch picking is things that are that we want to get people out there to start using. Are you managing part numbers with your Magaya system right now? Some of you have part numbers that either for you or for your clients. And we also want to know, do you have live track on your website? Do you have the Magaya live track there right now? Because the next topics that are going to be coming out, and Chris is going to be sharing with us, are directly linked to people who have live track. And some of you have already realized there's a live track 3.0 and some of the new features that we have there with that. And interesting here is, would you be interested in using the custom live track with the new branding? So it's important for us to do that. You guys have been asking for that for a while, which is great. So it's nice to see it come to fruition actually out here. Most of you have said, Jose, why can't I put, you know, logistics company name here? Why can't I do that? And I don't want to use any of my customers' names. I don't want to embarrass you, because I know who you are and you know who I am. But it's important. We've actually managed to do that. We're going to go ahead and show you how that process is. So it's very important how all that is going to be going through. So we're slightly above 3 minutes. There's still 11 of you working on it. So we want to go ahead and do that. Okay, so bear with me 1 second while we get you guys to complete these poll questions for us. Just bear with us.
And again, technically, if you are wondering what we're talking about here, the poll questions should be on your right-hand side. There should be a panel for polling in the webinar window. And it looks like everybody who was going to answer has at least started. Okay, I see a few more people coming in progress. We have a few people that are still answering the questions, so we'll give them a few more moments here. And then we're going to show what we've done in terms of customization of our products, and especially the web side of things. Okay, and we're moving on. Right, bear with me here for a second. Okay, so when we're talking about something, we just summarize it here as customizations. We can now customize the login page, or you can customize the login page for LiveTrack. This is pretty important. I'll show it to you in a second. We have a new look and feel for the whole LiveTrack environment, call it 3.0. There's a new summary view for transaction tracking. Many of you have asked, I don't want to show the charges to my customers that are using my transaction tracking widget on my website, and I don't want to show them who the agent is or who the forwarder is, so they could contact them directly. So we've done that. And finally, we have something pretty exciting, which is called calculated custom fields, and I'll explain why it's exciting shortly as well. So first of all, let's go to LiveTrack, and how we do that is quite simple. This is the LiveTrack login, and you have been providing this link as a window or as a frame on your website, or as a link under a button to your customers, since the first LiveTrack. Now we've added a few things. Most notably, you see I'm using here Magaya's logo because Jose wouldn't let me use my personal logo, which is pretty cool. But we're using Magaya's logo here. For you, that means that you can now, on this page, display your company logo, okay? So that's just one of the new things. And we've made the customization part of it very easy. Basically, all you need to do is change the URL. And ways to change it you can find easily in our knowledge base, okay? So, for example, if I want to now go and change my company name, okay? So I've decided that my company name isn't Magaya Kristjan Lillemets, but it's actually Chris Shipping Incorporated. All I need to do is add this parameter in the actual URL, company Chris Shipping Incorporated, or I can call it company Jose, and that's it. So this is the login page, and also it will overwrite the company name in the top of the actual LiveTrack once you do log in. So I like Chris Shipping Incorporated better than Jose, so I'm going to go back to that. Another thing that you can just add to the URL, and it will change how this looks, is something called language parameter. So if I want this login page and my whole LiveTrack to default to Spanish, for example, I just added this additional parameter into the URL, and as you can see, my fields here and my buttons, and if I log in, will now be in Spanish. Many of you have asked this because you serve markets in Spanish-speaking countries, and you don't want the users to have to always click and select Spanish. So now you can control that for them. Since my Spanish is not excellent yet, I will change mine back to English and proceed to log in. Okay, so I'm logging in as my customer John here, because I want to see how the actual interface looks now with the updates. So as you can see, my new company name is now at the top there. It used to pull just, it used to always display the same name that you had on your account with Magaya. Now we've given you the way to change it easily. So as you can see, the interface looks much cleaner. It's much nicer, newer, modern, and I'm going to come back to this later. But now I'll take a break from LiveTrack and cover the transaction tracking summary versus detail view. So by transaction tracking, we mean the widget that you can put in your website where the customer can go and enter their order number or their shipment bill of lading number and see what the status is, what the tracking status is. So this would be, for example, I have here house bill of lading 1, 2, 3 that I'm going to track. This will be an example that you'll probably recognize. This is how it looks. Now I'll just go and generate the same for the same shipment here. House bill of lading 1, 2, 3. The summary view, and I'll display them side by side so you can see what we've changed. Okay, let me make it a little smaller here. So.
And while you're doing that, Chris, one of the great things about the transaction tracking, guys, is not just that it gives you the ability to give your clients not any type of login credentials, so it's a little quicker for them to get their information. You also are able to customize this in your website, kind of like what Kristjan just showed you, where you can put that URL and people have a place to run those transactions. There's also the app. There's also a Track-to-Go app that your clients can actually use, so when they're out and about, they can actually open up the Magaya Track-to-Go and be able to actually do the same thing they're doing here, what Kristjan's showing you here. So those are the few added benefits of being able to have this Track-to-Go. And some of you do have transaction tracking and have not yet started using the new app, the applications. And these apps, we're trying to always update them. So please use them. Reach out to us. Let us know that you have transaction tracking and you want to try the app. If you don't have it, still reach out to us. We'll activate it for you to try it out and see if your clients want to use it, because that will set you apart. One of the reasons why I joined Magaya 10 years ago is because it was going to set me apart from what was out there in the industry, and we still want to continue to do that. So please let us know. We definitely want to help you out, and any feedback about using the app, you may see it in the future, in a future release. So thank you, guys. Back to you, Chris.
Yes, thank you, Jose, for that. Little context to what we're showing here, and yes, so the summary view of the same shipment you'll see on the right, and you'll just see basically we took out charges, we took out the entities part, and also the way of seeing shipment documents. Like here on the regular live track, my user can go, or my client can go and actually look at all the attached documents. On the summary, they won't have that level of access. Okay, so that was a configuration that was asked and a lot, and we did. And finally, let's get nerdy. Let's get technical and talk about calculated custom fields. Okay, so I'm going back to my database here, and I'm going to my shipment list. Now, this is for those of you who have ever thought about or have had any kind of customizations done by our implementation personnel or by your programmers to your system. What you can customize: the documents, columns in list views such as this, and a few charges. But you kept asking from us, we want to put data, using JavaScript, we want to put data in actual fields in the interface. So now we've added this option, and the fields that we're talking about are custom fields. I'm sure most of you are using custom fields already to just create your own fields when you don't find a field that fits from among the standard fields. So I've created one here, and the case here is that I've created a field, a custom field on my shipment, so I can record who the broker is. Okay, and that's a simple lookup field, already exists, and I can pull from my vendors, etc. But now I wanted to also have on the shipment a field that displays this broker's phone number. Okay, so I created this as a type calculated custom field. I put a simple piece of, or maybe not so simple piece of code in here. What's important is that now I have the field that uses JavaScript to pull the phone number of the customs broker on my shipment. So I'm going on to a test shipment here that I created for that purpose. And on my custom fields tab, I have my customs broker, which I already had. And as soon as I select the broker, it now populates the phone number from the broker's record. So this is just one example of many things that you could do. Basically, anything you can do in JavaScript in Magaya, you can put on those calculated custom fields. And why this is good, or why this is important, because from this moment on, from me generating that code in the custom field, this custom field becomes a custom field like any other. So if I go back to my shipment list here, I can now generate or choose the custom field as a regular column because it's a custom field. It's already part of the database here. So the phone number of the custom broker in my specific example is now very easy to just add as a column. Or even if I go to the document designer, the same way I add custom fields to the document designer, the new one, even though it was generated by JavaScript, is now available to me. So the takeaway from here is that yes, even though you will still need our implementation department's help, most likely, for creating that code. This is, after all, a customization to the software. Once you have the code, once you have that field, you can use it anywhere, which is on document, as you can see here, in columns, or even in live track. So this column, if I go to my shipment list, since it's a custom field and we've enabled custom fields in live track a while ago, I can now immediately display it here as well. So those of you who are using any kind of customizations, this is a really interesting piece of new development that we've made. There you go. There's my custom broker's phone number. Okay, so here we're going back to Jose with poll number 3.
Wonderful. All right. Thanks, Chris.
Shall I open the poll?
Yes, please. Go ahead and open the polls for me. And it's interesting, what Chris just explained is something that our clients have asked for. They've always asked being able to, add information that comes from other fields. So it's important for us to be able to say, hey, we did it, we're working on it, and this is a good start. So yes, you will reach out to our implementation department. They're ready there to help you out. So let them know you found this out in our webinar. Okay, great. So let's talk about poll 3. Have you used page 1? I should have put the actual word 1, but I left the number 1 there because this is the first thing you're going to see every time you open up Magaya. Whenever you exit out of Magaya, you go home for the day, and all of a sudden you open it up again. It opens up to that page. Why does it do it? Well, there's a reason why we do that. Or at least that's what marketing tells me. It's how we want to communicate with you. It's how we want to go ahead and say, hey, there is a support button there. There is information as to what's new in 10.2. There is our knowledge base. And more and more of you are actually using it when it comes to the knowledge base. There's case studies, news. There's also a way for you to be able to find out if you want to sign up for the actual newsletter from Magaya. You could say, well, I'm just a warehouse person, or I'm just the accounting person. How can I get more information? Well, in page 1, there's there. So some of you, we'd like for you to actually look at it. We want to show that to you. So have you used page 1 before, yes or no? Have you contacted support through page 1? Some of you are saying, well, I can do that. Yes, there's a support button there for us to be able to do that, and Chris will go in and show that to you in a little bit. Remember, when it comes to the polling questions, you have to click on the polling side. That way it allows you to be able to go in there and answer these questions where I'm reading from. I've always been a big fan of having just a webinar, a small webinar on what are the new features on page 1. I mean, it changes every time. So what you're going to see here today may change in a few months. Most of the custom information will be there, but we do want to change information that allows us to be able to communicate better with you. Okay? And interesting here, we always ask, what are other topics you'd like to see us cover in a future webinar? We actually left that as a open field. We want you to write. Normally we give you a big list of items. There's a lot of other exciting things we're working on. We're working on a proof of delivery upgrade to the one we currently have. That's going to allow you who have trucks to be able to actually schedule pickups and use the POD. So there's some exciting things that are coming. So we want to know what other topics you'd like us to cover. Write it in there. We'll have a look at it and see where we go from there with the marketing department. And lastly, how likely are you to participate in a future webinar? There is a question mark there that somehow along the line we missed, but we want to know. Yes, I want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to give you a number. I want to give you an option for you to write and tell us how we're doing. So there's a few of you who are finishing up, so we want to go ahead and give you few more minutes to finish up. But
I believe Jose meant a few more seconds,
yes.
Because we have so many exciting things to show. We are going to close this poll in a few moments. Okay, so we titled this section Better Ways to Get Answers. And so I'm going to show you the new feature of the help button inside, a new function of the help button inside Magaya. I'm going to show off a bit and show the knowledge base, but on my smartphone, because we've also optimized it nicely for mobile. And then talk about page one briefly, which Jose already got us started a little bit. Okay, so the help button in Magaya. Now it doesn't contain the old school Windows 95 looking help menu anymore. We can get to page one from anywhere from under the help menu. And those of you, like I am, for example, a fan of Windows 95 and all the shortcut keys that the operating system has given us. So if you're using F1 in any kind of software to find help, then F1 will do this now. Open the Magaya knowledge base. Used to open the help menu. Oh, I have to select a better browser. There you go. Okay, so the Magaya knowledge base, pretty simple. We are working and will continuously be working on making these the search keywords more intuitive. So, for example, I go and I search for smart warehouse. I get to a how-to article on getting started, guide to preparing your warehouse. Okay. Then, what else do we have on page one? Well, actually, I apologize. I do want to do the mobile as well. There you go. That's my screen here. I hope. Oh,
are we going to?
Yes.
Wonderful. Yes. I will take 2 of those. Thank you.
Jose wanted to go shopping with me.
Yes. So what Chris wants to show us is how you are actually able to use the knowledge base from a phone.
Yep.
Go for it.
I want to know about custom fields, for example. There you go. Get to my article. It's very nicely optimized. The images are scaled, so it's easily readable. If I like it this way, I can read it horizontal as well. So that was just a quick tutorial on the knowledge base mobile. As one last thing, let's go and request help from our tech support. Okay, so on page one now, you have a way to open a support case without having to spend time with us, with our wonderful, what do we have, a wait music these days, or is it a robot selling options? You don't have to wait online. You can basically just open a case here. I will say that it's a test because maybe they think I actually need help and they'll come and take me away from this presentation. Okay, and you can now open a support case, and you can look at the history of your cases right on page 1. Okay, so that concludes the better ways to find answers section of this webinar. Okay.
Yeah, and what happens within that case that Chris just opened, we do have your email address in your main profile for Magaya, so you're going to get an email address to whatever you put in there. That way, it also keeps a record of what you sent over to us as well as what we responded. So not only would you get a response in the actual Magaya system, but you'll also get an email regarding that. And sometimes it's as interesting. We'll get a phone call from a client, Jose, nobody's reached out to me, man. What's going on? And I'll say, well, let me have a look at your case. And in there is a nice explanation. Sir, we're trying to reach you. You're out to lunch. You're in the warehouse. We're trying to get you again. Give us a call back. So it's always fun. And, you know, the answer is, oh, I didn't see that. So we definitely want to be available to you. We want to help you out and get you the right information as you need. Okay? So let's talk briefly about Logistical, guys. What is Logistical? Well, we started Magaya with the idea that we wanted to give small companies a way to challenge the larger companies and be able to have great software and not pay great prices. And the idea for us was to be able to say, hey, we're the new kids in the block. We want to give you the opportunity to actually change the way you work and communicate worldwide. Some of you are here locally in the United States. Some of you are across the pond. Some of you are in South America. So we thank you for joining us. And this is an exciting time for us. I've been in Magaya for going on 11 years, and the cargo system was already here. Now, I've had the opportunity to experience the warehouse management system, the commerce system, the supply chain solution as new products, and now we want to share with you what Logistical is all about. And in reality, it's an e-commerce opportunity for all of you. Everybody talks about e-commerce. Everybody says, I want to be part of e-commerce. Some of you call us and say, well, what is that all about? What is it? Well, what Logistical is, and excuse me, there's, we get the, oh, sorry. What Logistical is a portal that allows e-commerce businesses, so people who have a web page or a page where they buy and sell, it's going to connect them with companies like yours who have 3PLs. Some of you are doing the whole 9 yards. Some of you have a website where people buy and sell, so maybe an eBay store. Some of you have their inventory and you have to take care of those sales orders. So we created Logistical with the ability for you to go ahead and connect and say, well, I'm doing the 3PL. I would like for you to go ahead and connect me with that order. So when that order comes in and I'm buying, for example, we use Chris's credit card to buy a new handheld to run our warehouse and we buy it online, it will create that sales order in the online business. That sales order would generate in Magaya in order for me to be able to actually start the fulfilling process. So Logistical is going to be that bridge that's going to allow you, either if you are a 3PL, to go after companies who have those websites and they need someone to rent space and manage inventory and do it all electronically, smart, without having to send any paperwork. So what we realized when we were discussing new opportunities with you was that you were moving into these type of new ventures. Say, well, Jose, I have this company who buys and sells. They want me to manage their inventory. How can I do that electronically without having to receive 20, 40, 50, 100 orders a day, get my staff to work on that and fulfill it and be able to send it out. So Logistical is going to work with the commerce system, is going to work with the supply chain solution, is going to help you be able to actually use the Express Link plugin. So when you do ship this via UPS or FedEx, all of that through your cargo release, it will give you the opportunity of being able to do that. Okay? So we want to go ahead and tell you a little bit about it. How to get started. Well, basically, you already have the know-how. Most of you already have a warehouse. You already have your staff. You already have the space. So you have the manpower, you have the space, you have the know-how, and you do have the system. So we want to be able to go ahead and say, hey, try out Logistical. That's the idea for you to be able to do that. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Chris, who's going to talk about ACE, which is important in what you guys want to do. We will have a Q&A afterwards, so if you're interested in signing up for Logistical, I would love to talk to you briefly and being able to do that. Okay?
Yes, so the magic word here, ACE, means the new central platform database, basically, for customs and border protection agency to collect data. Previously collected, or currently still also collected by Census using the AS Direct website, and Magaya has built using a technology called WebLink, a way for you to file your EEIs, previously called SCDs, directly from our system to theirs. Okay, and so why this is important, and let's we'll open up a shipment here. Why this is important for all of you and why we're talking about it in this webinar is that April 30th is the cutoff date for asdirect.census.gov to no longer work. No longer work for manual logins, which they have already started disabling in batches, so some of you might already be affected, but also no longer work for any third-party software such as Magaya to file. So we are really close to that deadline, and while the ACE platform itself has been ready since July for manual filers, for software developers like us, they've only been, US Customs has been a little bit late, I hope I don't go to jail for saying that, in providing some essentials for software developers such as a testing environment, which we've had now for a little less than a month, and we've been able to test and build our integration, and it works to the level that their system works. We're still waiting for a couple of essential upgrades to the actual backend system before we can suggest that you take this live with Magaya. A very quick example, you're all used to, with filing to AS Direct, you're used to filing the same shipment several times if you need to. If you need to make amendments, if you send one container instead of two, or the date changes, something like that, you just send the EI again, and it'll be considered as an amendment. Well, currently, the ACE system does not allow that. They're saying it's hopefully a matter of a week or two until it's there, and it's already in the test environment. We're testing it, but in the live environment, you couldn't do that with ACE. So this and some other smaller things is the reason why we're still waiting, and we don't want to publish this prematurely. However, I didn't want to scare you either. We will be ready with whatever customs is ready by 4:30, by April 30th. And in fact, in my version here in 10.2, I can already show you a quick demo. I have prepared a shipment here, and if I try to file the EI, I hope I prepared it in a way that Yep, it should pass all the validations. So you see that interface here is new. I will have to enter my username and password. And if I have a session open, it will remember it for a little while. So this is not going to be something you need to do every time, but during this presentation, what happened was that my session timed out. That's why it asked. For my username and password. Okay, and as you can see, I have enabled the test or as they call training environment. That big orange banner shows that. The good news is that anyone will have access to that training environment. And we built in a checkbox in Magaya like we had with AS Direct that for you to also test it out first if you're not sure, which obviously you might not because it's a new system. Okay, so I can go, this looks pretty much like AS Direct did. I can go through different tabs to view the data, and in the end there'll be a submit button. Okay, and there is this button I do need to press. To get back to Magaya, they're calling it a trade website. We can't rename the button, but gives us success here as well. We close this tab. The EEI checkbox is checked. And let's see if we get the results. Our ITN number. Yes, we do. There you go. So for you, we tried to make the user experience very similar to what it was, what it has been in AS Direct. There will be a few quirks here and there, or a few changes to the user experience, but this is due to the peculiarities of the actual platform. One thing that we have noticed, by the way, is that it takes them much less now to send the ITN number back. Like if I had my email opened, I would already have the confirmation email in my inbox right now. So that response time is gotten really quicker. Okay, so this was just a quick demo of how it will work, how it technically could already work in the test environment in the latest versions of 10.2 in Magaya, but we are still improving it, and we're really improving it as they are, where we have a very short test window and where we're in constant contact with the IT team of US Customs, us and other developers are. So we're really developing it as they go. And so the takeaway from here, what to do now, is please, please, please be ready with your ACE account. The ACE portal, and let me go back to the actual portal here, has different accounts than your AS Direct. We cannot stress that enough. Do that sign up. If we go back here, there are help materials here, how to get started with it. They have their own support with and phone number and email. There are demos, etc. But one thing that is already happening is that their support line or their support staff is backlogged for approximately 4 or 5 days. Now, come April 30th, that backlog will be bigger. So you don't want to wait until the last minute to go and get started with the actual portal. To create your exporter account, have it ready. As you saw, all you need to do eventually in Magaya is just plug in the username and password for that new account. But if something goes wrong in creating that account and it's end of April, you'll have to wait for days probably to get someone on the line from there, because there are obviously many companies filing EEIs. So again, please have your ACE account ready yesterday. That's what we want the takeaway to be from this part.
Perfect. Chris, thank you. As you can see, there's a lot other items that are going to be available in 10.2. We wish we can go through all of them for you, but we definitely want to give you the chance to actually ask some questions. So we want to open up the floor to see if there's any questions that you all would like to ask. Chris and I are standing by, and there is a section for you to ask your question. Let us know how we can assist you and try to answer as many of them as we can while we're here. Remember, you do have page 1 as another way to be able to reach out to us and let us know. So, Chris?
Okay. So I've gotten a few questions here already. One would be, when will version 10.2 be released? This is from a client who's currently still at 10.0, which is, the answer is it is already released, and it is also released for the online update. So all you need to do is online update with Magaya, and you'll get the version 10.2. The ACE test environment that I just showed, I don't want to create false expectations. That will not be in the online update version yet, just because we are still ironing out those few of those things that customs are adding as we speak. So ACE, if you go and do online update now, you could not file ACE yet, but it is really a matter of a week or two. See if we have questions. All right, currently, okay, so we have another, we have another question. Does this mean ACE not being live yet? Yes, correct. And what I showed you was the training environment. The test environment, we will have that first. It will be an additional configuration option, use ACE, and then use ACE testing environment. And it is not live yet just because we're waiting for mainly for the way for you to amend shipments. So currently, if we pushed it live right now and you sent a shipment to ACE and then needed to make any changes, you'd actually have to log on to the portal, retrieve the shipment from there and change it manually, come back to Magaya, change it manually in Magaya as well because you want your data to be consistent, etc. Okay? All right, so we are running over time here, so we're not taking more questions at this point. But if there were questions that you still had, do not hesitate to contact us. We will also send out a survey after this webinar with contact, so you can contact us through our tech support, through our page 1, or even call us. And if there were any questions that, as I'm finishing here, you still typed in before the end, we will see those questions and we will get back to those people directly if you already managed to type in your question. It's just we are running a little bit out of time here. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all for joining us. We definitely will have another webinar soon. We apologize that we ran a few minutes over, but we thank you. We thank you for the opportunity to continue to serve you, and we look forward to bringing you some even more exciting news as they come about. So thank you all. Have yourself a great day, and thank you for joining us.